Let's take a look at how to insert images and videos into WordPress. We'll also look at how to insert PDFs briefly, but mostly we'll focus on images and videos. Basic idea here is we want to use a little menu called the Upload Insert menu just above your button bar here. And the very first one is called Add an Image. So we've popped that window up. So all I have to do is click on Select my image. Click on that, open it up, and it's going to upload it. Here we go. Now it's in the system. I can do a number of things to edit the image, by the way. Very handy feature on the latest versions of WordPress. When I go in here, I can do things like flip it around horizontally or vertically. I can also go in and crop it if I want to go in and select a portion of it here, and I click on crop, then I get a very different image reduced like that. One thing to keep in mind if you're doing any of this work in here, and I won't go into great detail here, but keep an eye on this setting right here. Apply changes to. Now most of the time you use this to change the thumbnail. WordPress by default just sort of takes the center of the image, but if you want a specific thumbnail, that's what you're using this editor for most of the time. The problem is the default is to make the change to all image sizes. Really what you want in most cases is to click on thumbnail. So keep an eye on that when you're doing things for your clients or showing your clients how to do this. We're going to cancel that because we're not going to change the image at all. I could alter the title at this point. By default it just takes the file name. Alt text goes in here. Captions are for WordPress. It shows up if you want underneath the picture. Description, again, depending on your theme and what use you make of it, that can be done as well. The link URL, by default, this goes to the original image that you uploaded, and it will actually create a link. Typically, I don't like to have that on there, so I take it off. Then I can choose my alignment. I'm going to choose, in this case, I'm going to choose centering. This is in relation to the text. Then we get to sizing. WordPress produces actually separate images for you, and it depends on what size image you're uploading. In this case it was 758 wide. Now my settings, which I can change in the administration screens, say, well, I'm going to reduce medium ones to 300 pixels wide. If it was a really large image, which we try to discourage clients from uploading, of course, but let's say it's a 2000 pixel wide one, WordPress would then create a large version based on the sizing that you've told it in there, maybe 600 or 800 wide, something like that, and of course a thumbnail. In this case I want a medium-sized image to go inside my post. I could use it as a featured image too, by the way, from here, but right now I'm just going to insert it straight into the post, and there it is, centered above my text. Now let's say I want to move it around and change things. Let's say I'm going to make it over to the right. Well, actually, first of all, let's move it. Let's physically move it. I can move it down here so it's underneath the text. Now let's say I want to make it right aligned to the text. All I do, if we look on here in the corner, I get two little buttons when I click on the image. That, of course, would delete it. This one, it's going to bring up my options that I have for the image here. So I can change the alignment. I can change the title, of course, bring back the link if I want it. In this case, I'm going to make it right aligned, and it sort of shows you roughly where it's positioned. Let's update that. But it's in the wrong position, so I just drag it again, and it's a little hard to see, but the cursor is underneath the ghost image here, roughly where your cursor is, and I drop it there. Now it is right aligned in there, and I can update my post at that point. So that's how to work with images in WordPress, and we're working in the visual editor at this point, of course. That's typically where your clients are going to want to work. Let's add in a video now. This has become even easier in this latest version of WordPress. It used to have a button on the button bar here, but that's no longer the case. In fact, what it has, if we go over to settings here, if you go down to media settings, we're going to navigate away from that page. Yes, that's okay. There's a section here called embeds. And there's auto embedding now, and it's turned on by default. And basically it will take any URL from sites like Flickr and YouTube and so forth, sharing sites, and it's going to actually embed them for us. We can specify the size. By default it doesn't specify a width. whatever your particular theme has for the content area, it'll go to that width automatically. Or you can hard code it in here and set it. So that's where embedding is taking place. By the way, this is where you set those sizing for the images that I talked about. 300, and in the case of large size, 1024. All right, let's go back to our post there. There's our converting a site into WordPress post. And we need to get ourselves a video, so I go over to YouTube, click on the share button, and of course it's highlighted already, so I go back over to here. And this is all I have to do. Watch this. I just paste it in here. Now it will always look like that. You have to warn your clients. It will stay looking like a URL. So don't tell them not to worry about this. This is okay. Watch what happens when we go over to our live site and we refresh. There's our video. Remember I said it would be the width of our content area? That's exactly the case. If it was narrower, it would be narrower. But there's our video ready to play. So it's very, very easy to do, but sometimes clients get confused by the fact that there's just this URL there, and they think maybe their video isn't working or something like that. Very quickly, if you're adding PDFs, you just use the last one on the upload insert here. It's called Add Media, and that's where you go in and you put PDFs, which is the most typical document people are going to be entering. And those are the basics. Very, very simple ways to add media to WordPress.